Welcome back to The Lead. Donald Trump last night, perhaps redefining what going beyond the pale is by saying this about the Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton.
She was going to beat Obama. I don't know who'd be worse. I don't know. How does it get worse? But she was going to beat, she was favored to win, and she got schlonged. She lost. She lost.
I want to talk about Trump in the 2016 race with former press secretary for President Obama's re-election campaign, Ben LaBolt, and CNN political commentator S.E. Cupp. S.E., Trump says that she got schlonged. Thoughts?
Well, my parents are so proud that I'm here today talking about getting schlonged and scatological humor, really classy stuff. Look, what's so frustrating for conservatives like me who actually want to win the White House is that today Hillary Clinton was named the worst ethics violator of 2015 by a government watchdog agency. She's got a long list of failed policies, from the Russian reset to the Libyan collapse. The word most people use to describe her is liar. And yet, every time Donald Trump opens his mouth, he gets her that much closer to the White House. So I know people love the entertainment factor of a guy who literally has no filter. But when it comes time for the nominating process, and then when it comes time for a general election, Trump is ensuring a Democratic victory. So
well, and
you're
also,
welcome.
the other thing in the media, what we had talked about quite a bit yesterday and Sunday was the fact that Hillary Clinton had said this thing about Donald Trump and ISIS, about ISIS using videos of Donald Trump as a way of recruiting. There's no evidence for it at all. She said this, and yet Donald Trump knocks that off the front page.
Bails her out.
Yeah, and makes this comment.
Well, look, I think Secretary Clinton's comment was defensible. I think that the campaign provided a bunch of social media activity with.
It was false. There perhaps was some truthiness. There's truthiness there somewhere, yes, but the claim was not true.
And but ultimately, Donald Trump is making the war on terror look like a war on Muslims, and that is a terrorism recruitment tool. But Trump's comments yesterday, look, he's somebody who knows how to create reality television moments. That's how he's treating the entire campaign. And the Clinton campaign didn't give him what he wanted today. I don't know if he was looking for some sort of outraged back and forth like he had with Rosie O'Donnell a few years ago. But they're not playing into his hands on that. And every day he says something like this, he's driving up the gender gap that the Republican Party is going to face in the general election.
One of the challenges, I think, and you saw it a little bit with Chris Christie, is if you're a Republican running against Trump, but you don't want to alienate all his supporters, which is a sizable group at this point, what do? Take a listen to Ted Cruz saying it will come down to him versus Trump. Here's his response to Trump's vulgar remarks about Secretary Clinton.
You know what? There are an abundance of political pundits in the world who, like Statler and Waldorf, assess every comment every candidate makes. I don't need to be another political pundit. I'm going to let Donald Trump speak for himself. I'm going to speak for myself.
Statler and Waldorf, for the kids watching out there, they were on The Muppet Show. What should a Republican rival do? What's the appropriate thing when Donald Trump crosses a line and either says something vulgar or offensive in some other way?
Yes, acknowledge it. I understand that Cruz thinks his path to the nomination is to bear hug Donald Trump and then collect his voters when Donald Trump magically disappears. But imagine the negative ads. Imagine, Democrats, if Ted Cruz wins the nomination, Democrats are still going to insist that the Republicans are running a Donald Trump. And it's going to be so easy for them to do if it's Ted Cruz with some of this sound. Really hard to do if it's Jeb Bush. Really hard to do if it's Chris Christie. But not hard to do if it's Ted Cruz, who has said, I'm not going to really get in there and insult him. I think Donald Trump is fantastic.
And what's also interesting about this, Ben, is that Hillary Clinton is eminently beatable. If you look at the new Quinnipiac poll out today, it shows that voters say Clinton is not honest, not trustworthy. They say Clinton does not care about their needs and problems. I'm talking about a majority of those polled. They add Clinton does not share their values. This is a vulnerable Democrat.
But she's not running against the almighty. She's running against the alternative. And if you look at the head-to-head numbers in that Quinnipiac poll, she's doing a lot better. And look, what voters are seeing when they tune into this race today are those comments from Donald Trump. Republican primary voters don't reflect the broader general electorate. And I think when we get to that general election, you're going to see a lot more discussion of the issues, and Hillary Clinton's going to win that discussion.
All right, Ben LaBolt, S.E. Cupp, thank you. Merry Christmas to both of you. Happy New Year. Our national lead.